Okay, before we begin, can I get your verbal consent to being interviewed for my class project?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question is, what is your name, title, and what type of work do you do?
My name is Sarah Rose. I am a December 2017 graduate at Maryville University, and I'll be an actuarial science major and a cybersecurity minor.
Okay, so how did you find out about your job or previous jobs that you have held?
I have found out about most of my jobs from networking, and some of them I found out about just searching on Indeed or other sites online.
Have you ever found out about an opportunity through networking, and if so, could you elaborate?
Yes, actually, the very first job I had in high school was an internship with State Farm, and that was I got that opportunity from networking from one of my business classes in high school, and the professor got me in contact with a State Farm agent, and I was able to interview with him, and he didn't have the availability for me to be an intern with him, so he got me in contact with one of the agents he knew, and so through that networking opportunity, I was able to get an internship, and that was just one of many over the years of different internships that networking's really benefited me.
Okay. Do you belong to any organizations that host networking events? If not, do you think it would be beneficial and why? If so, how has it benefited you?
Well, Maryville, we have a lot of networking events here at Maryville. The actuarial science program has career fairs every fall, and we have about 30 companies that come. And through that, we have about 10 to 15-minute small interviews that we can have with each of the companies, and that's a good way to get to know those people at the companies, and also those companies come for info nights, and it's just a good way for those companies to recognize your face, even if you're not going to be working there, that they can know you in the corporate world, because you'll most likely be working with them in one capacity or another in the future, and it's a good way to get your facial recognition out there.
Okay. So, how do you feel about online social networking, and have you used any of the sites online to do so?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn's very important. A lot of companies use that a lot of recruiters use that, and it's a good way to have a base profile out there, to have good information. And definitely it's important to have a professional LinkedIn profile, just because when you are being interviewed, and having professional social media sites, because when you are being interviewed, they're going to search you on the internet and see what they can find. So you want to make sure your social media sites and your LinkedIn profile are very professional.
Okay, so do you have any advice for job seekers and or current students about the importance of networking and the actual active networking?
My biggest advice is when you're talking to any of your colleagues, whether here at Maryville or anyone in the workforce, whether it's in an internship or with a full-time job, just to know that anyone that you're in contact with that you could be working with in the future. So whether you're working with someone in a client setting, or you're working with someone like in a group project, you never know who you're actually going to be working with in the future, who could be your boss. So just keep that in mind, because there are multiple opportunities for networking in the future, so you always want to set yourself up for the best opportunities.
Well, thank you for your time today. Okay, so before we start this video, can you give confirmation that you're okay with this interview being used for grading and being viewed by other students?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So what is your name, title, and what type of work do you do?
So my name is Julie Kriebel, and I'm a life coach in the Division of Student Success here at Maryville. And I work with students on their academic, career, and personal success throughout their collegiate experience.
Okay. How did you find out about your job or a previous job that you have held?
So my current job, I'm actually a Maryville alum, and so after I had attended graduate school, I knew I wanted to work at a college or university, and so I kept an eye on the HR job posting sites, as well as just kind of my local connections within the higher ed industry. And so when I saw not my current position, but the position I initially transitioned back into Maryville serving as, I actually saw it via the HR job posting site, as well as through some of my connections here at Maryville who kind of let me know to go check that site when it became available.
Okay. How have you ever found out about an opportunity by networking?
I have, absolutely. And so whether it was connections that I still had throughout my undergraduate experience and mentors, or even through my graduate school program, some of my professors, colleagues, former supervisors, with letting them know what I wanted to be doing professionally, they were also able to then help keep an eye out or kind of just keep me in the loop if they heard of something become available, so that they could give me that heads up.
Do you belong to any organizations that host networking events? If not, do you think it would be beneficial and why? If so, how has it benefited you?
Right. So I am loose. I would say I am a member, loosely involved, I would say, with some of those organizations, but by all means have found it to be beneficial through their perhaps annual or biannual conferences, professional development, whether that be locally or regionally or even via webinars. And so just being able to be connected to those groups who may have similar goals, interests within the same industry or passions has been quite beneficial, as it helps me kind of pick and choose the professional development that I'm looking for in my career as well.
Okay. How do you feel about online social networking?
Yeah, I think online social networking is crucial in today's world with kind of the digital world that we live in, and not always being able to be face-to-face. So I think tools like LinkedIn and perhaps even professional association sites often have kind of a networking or a members hub that then you can connect with other members of that group. And so I find it to be quite useful just to kind of get names, put names with faces, and so it can just be kind of this collection of people and industry resources, or you really can take that to the next level of finding the next job or doing an informational interview with someone. And so I think it can be very, very beneficial in the kind of the digital professional world that we live in today.
Okay, last question. Do you have any advice for current job seekers or current students about networking?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say be open to it, and anyone that you can find who may give you a few minutes of their time just to tell you about how they got to where they are, professional associations or groups they're involved in, what has helped them be perhaps successful in their roles, to take advantage of that time when you have that captive audience of someone who is willing to share their journey with you, or what has worked well, or even what were some of the roadblocks or hurdles or the mistakes that they had made, and what did they learn from that. And so being open to walking up to somebody and saying, "Hi, my name is Julie. Can you tell me a little bit about your path, or how did you get here? What's the mission of your company?" Just getting more familiar with that right now, perhaps before you're actually on that full-time job search, I think kind of gets the nervousness out of your system, so that you will feel more comfortable doing that when, again, perhaps an internship or a full-time job is on the line down the road.
Okay, thank you for your time today.